Hey guys, Uncommon Ramen here. Before we get in the video, let me remind you that if you like my content, please hit that like and subscribe button to help me with those analytics. And also, if you want to be notified when videos hit the interwebs, hit that bell icon so you can be notified when I post new content. And finally, if you feel the need to support me, hit me up on my Patreon at patreon.com/uncommonramen, capital U, capital R. I do all of this in my free time, so any amount of support can help me bring more of this content to you more often. Alright, without further ado, we are going to take a look at an actually very old game, but it has an interesting history. So we are looking at an Uwe Rosenberg game called Ora Et Labora, or Ora and Labora. This game was originally manufactured by Z-Man Games, and at some point in time, Z-Man Games was being acquired by Asmodee Games, and something happened during the acquisition because it didn't seem like a very clean break. There was a lot that took place, and I believe that acquisition took close to 2 years. And there was a lot of quiet time. The website had very little functionality. There was just weird things going on. Meanwhile, a large portion of Z-Man Games titles just kind of vanished. I have speculations about that, but they are nothing but rumor. They just simply vanished at one point in time. And so what Asmodee was offering that was from the Z-Man Games library was very limited, and some of the titles that just never got seen again were games like Ora Et Labora and Urbion. So later on, you can see right here that Lookoutgames ended up with the Ora Et Labora title, and I'm not really sure how that happened. And if you are an enterprising, investigative person, you'll find out that Lookoutgames is also a company that was purchased by Asmodee Games, so it's under the Asmodee umbrella as well. So why all the subterfuge and why they had to wait so long to reprint this, I have no idea. But now we have Ora Et Labora back, albeit this time without the Z-Man Games title. So we're going to take a look inside this box. Ora Et Labora is an interesting one because it uses these weird little tiles. I should say dials, my bad. And these dials, essentially, you're going to move them. I don't know if it's per phase or exactly when you move them. But as you move them, they're going to sweep resources into a specific direction, if I remember correctly. And it's some part of the mechanic of the game is to kind of let these resources get swept and whatnot. There's 2 of these dials, and having not had a chance to play the game yet, I'm not really sure what both of them do. But that is one of those things. We have a game setup guide here that just kind of goes into what you need to know about setting up the game. And I appreciate the fact that they have this sheet right here that totally does all of the setup information as opposed to taking up a page in the rule book, because honestly that would be a lot to swallow. So here is the general rules. And this is like a startup guide essentially, because this is going to go into the basics that you need to start playing the game. And then they have a secondary rule book that is just specifically about all of the detailed game rules and advanced interactions that are going to be happening in this game. And again, that's something I really appreciate about a game like this, is because this rule book itself is about 4 pages. And if you were to put the game setup plus this rule book plus the detailed rules all into one, I'm sure it would end up being closer to like 20 pages, because if I pull this out right here, you can see, there's 7 pages right there. So 10, 11, plus the glossary. So this could get really heavy really quickly. But basically, what you're going to see in here is more of the advanced interactions and whatnot. And then this other one, let's see what this says, is a building index. So it just goes into even more deep interactions for this game. Now, Uwe Rosenberg is the designer of Agricola. And actually, for that matter, Le Havre and Glass Road. And if I remember correctly, Aquasphere is also an Uwe Rosenberg title. So Uwe Rosenberg has made quite a few very good games. That being said, it's not to say that they're well loved. A lot of people don't like playing Le Havre because they think that it's a headache, and there's a simpler game out there called Harbor that you could play. A lot of people don't like playing Agricola because they say it's a headache and you could instead play Caverna, even though, in my opinion, they're completely separate games. So Uwe Rosenberg has like a track history of really good games, but also a track history of making games with headaches in them. So each of these, I have a bunch of resource bags in here, and they just represent different colors of resources. So in this particular case, and this is very indicative of a Uwe Rosenberg game, we have ourselves the lamb on one side and the lamb chops on the other side. So that is one of the green right there. And then, and this is something that if you've ever played Le Havre, this is basically the same system we have going here. In here we have red, which we have the clay, and then we have, the clay pots. I think that's all that's in here. Yep, clay and clay pots. Next up we have the wheat, and so we got the little shocks of wheat. And then on the back side we have the actual bundles of wheat. And this is like, the amount of resources might be like, oh wow, there's a lot here, but the reality is that this is pretty typical for a Uwe Rosenberg game. So this is, I think, barley because it turns into beer or mead or whatever. I know mead is made with honey, but it is what it is. And then we have right here, we have a charred tree, and that's going to be turned into charcoal. I think Uwe Rosenberg also made Feast for Odin, which was also just an incredible game, but again had so many moving parts. So here we got some gold, and it turns into a book. We got ourselves some grapes, which, turn into wine. Oops. Destroyed that bag. Good thing there's extras. We got ourselves a stack of coins, which turns into some sort of odd trophy. I'm not really sure what that is, but very interesting. Right here we have some wood, which turns into a barrel. And then finally, the last of the resources, we have ourselves what I assume is like iron or some sort of metal, which turns into some ornate metal design, which is why I think it might be iron or like wrought iron or something to that effect. So. And we have these little coin thingies. Let's take these guys out. There's only 2 of them in here, so we're just going to take a look at both. So we have 2 little coins. One with a red background, one with a green background, and they both look like they have similar abilities. And we have something that I haven't seen in Well, I guess that's not true. The boats were in big squares. We have these little tiles here that depict some sort of... It looks like artwork of some sort. On the back, it shows a number, and then on the front, it shows different types of artwork. And each artwork is a little bit different. So we'll go ahead and show those guys off. And I would assume that these are probably well-known works that hang in churches and whatnot. These look fairly religious. They all have the same number on the back, it looks like. Yeah, so there you go. That's the artworks. I'm assuming if you get rich enough, you know, you can go ahead and splurge on them artworks if you want. Is there more? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize there's more resources in here. One last set of resources. Of course, this makes sense. We got ourselves the flour and, of course, the bread that follows afterwards. So that was my mistake on that one. Next up, we have a bunch of these little wooden pieces. So we're going to take these guys out and take a look at them individually. So we have some red pieces here, which include two like sari pawn type things, and as well as what looks like a meeple with a hat. And then on the flip side of that, we also have two tan pieces that look like sari pieces and a dude with a hat. Oh, there's one for each. Okay, so I'm assuming these are specifically the player pieces, because here we have the green ones with two pawns and a dude with a hat, and the blue ones, same situation, two pawns and a dude with a hat. And then we have what looks to be the different resources in meeple form. So we got our shock of wheat, or actually no, we have our bundle of wheat. We have a, not really sure what that is. This is coal probably. We got ourselves a sheep here, some wood, some clay maybe, I don't know. Then we have these extra ones here, orange square and a yellow circle, and then we have this little blue house as well. So I'm not really sure what these are. If I remember reading the page correctly, these are supposed to be on the dial, and I'm assuming they indicate some sort of gaining of resources or something to that general effect. What else do we have in here? We have some cards. These are still in their shrink wrap, so I'm going to hold these off to the side really quick. We have a little score sheet thing. So this part was interesting to me because I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a score sheet or if this keeps track. Well, it looks like it keeps track of a full 4-player game. We're talking about dwelling values, settlement totals. Yeah, this is scoring sheet. Which I didn't think was horribly necessary, but you know, it's funny because Agricola definitely needed one of these and they straight up didn't have one. Then next up we're gonna have, if I had to assume, we have two different types of player boards here. One of them with a red top and one of them with a green top. So maybe there's two different versions of the game. So this is the green one, and they all appear to be the same as far as the green one is concerned. And then we have the red one here. Let me see if I can't find a difference. Oh, okay, yeah. So there's slight differences between these boards. You can see there's a difference here as well as here, and I think there was a difference up here as well. So you got two different types of player boards. There's 4 each for each player. On the back of these player boards, we got a little, if I had to take a guess, a crib sheet. Okay, I see. So this is supposed to represent Ireland, whereas the red board represents France. And we have what I can only describe as a crib sheet of some sort, which again is very much a thing of Uwe Rosenberg. They're usually relatively complicated games, but they're pretty easy to learn. So we have each of the farmsteads for each player. So this is what it looks like from top down. And if we look at the back of this, it just says the Ora Et Labora. And these should be exactly the same. And this is where you're going to place your buildings as you build them, I believe. Then we have what appears to be extensions, but there's quite a few of these. I'm not sure. These ones are front and back, and they're the exact same on each side. This one only has a 4 here on each side. So what is... Okay, that's the difference. They have different gold values. So some of these are worth 4, 6, 5, 3. This one was 8. And they're exactly the same on the other side. So you can see there. So these are, I want to say extensions. They look like they'd be extensions to your board. And then finally we have another type of extension. This one adds a beach. And much like the previous extension, they change in cost. My guess is that as you play the game, these become more and more expensive. So it rewards the player who acts first. Oh, and it's interesting. It has a different backing to it. Just in case you don't want a beach, I guess. And again, these are different prices, so... Cool. That's all the big cardboard bits in here. So the next thing, actually the last thing to look at is the cards. There's quite a few of these little mini cards in here, so we're going to take a look at those next. We get these guys back in the box. All right. So we have the cards here. This one looks like it's buildings, so I want to see what these guys are first. Okay. We have a village, a hilltop village, a shantytown. So I guess these are buildings too. Got ourselves a farming village, a market town, a fishing village, artist's colony, a hamlet, a village. Okay, so we're repeating it. So are these different villages? They're the same. Okay, so we're repeating these over again. So hilltop village, shantytown, farming village, market town, that fishing village, artist colony, hamlet, village, hilltop village, so on and so forth. So those are... They have a different letter on the back too? Okay. Okay, this is complicated. There's a lot of different cards going on here. Alright. We also have this, which if I look at the back, they're slightly different. So it looks like these might provide resources. These all appear to be the same. Right? Yeah, so these all have the exact same look to them. And it appears that they give you resources. Still the same. There are a lot of these too. So let's see. If I look at the back, are they all... Yeah, these are all exactly the same. So this is some sort of resource thing. I think I looked at C and D before I looked at A. Why are these ones double-sided? Why are these different? Oh, some of these, I see. They have different colors of the different player colors. So some of these must be starting buildings, which stands to reason. You'd have a shantytown, a farming village, a market, fishing, so on and so forth. Each one of you would have the same starting villages. So let's just make sure. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on here. Okay. So, all right. The first couple of buildings we looked at were the starting village or starting cards for each of the different colors. Now I'm gonna just make sure I'm looking at that correctly. So if I was to flip these guys over, we'd have a hilltop village, a hamlet, fishing market, shantytown. Yep. Okay. Yep. So that's what it was. So each of these are the starting village or starting buildings that you have in your very beginning of the game, because there's one set for each player color in blue, green, white, and red. Which means that these double-sided guys right here are the buildings that you're going to build throughout the course of the game. And is it the same on both sides? So we got the House of the Brotherhood. It says Coast, Plains, Hillside, 1, 1, 3, and 3. 1, 1, 3, and 3, 5 coins. They appear to be exactly the same. So we got House of the Brotherhood, Hospice, Estate, Printing Office, Dormitory, Pilgrimage Site, Forger's Workshop, Sacristy, Shipping Company, Kale Factory, Grapevine, Town Estate, Quarry, Castle, Palace, Shipyard, Chamber of Wonders, Cloister Church, Bathhouse, Quarry, Winery, Inn, Slaughterhouse, Cloister Workshop, Cloister Library, Cloister Chapter House, Financed Estate. Can turn gold into a lot of different things. That's cool. Another Grapevine, Builder's Market, Stone Merchant, Harbor Promenade, Carpentry, Cloister Garden, Market, Peat Coal Kiln, Fuel Merchant, Bakery, Windmill, Grain Storage, Cloister Courtyard, and finally we have the Priory. And just to make sure I'm not going crazy, no, they do change on the back. Even though the House of the Brotherhood stayed the same, the Hospice becomes a guest house, but the estate stays the same. We got a festival ground, a bulwark, a camera, a round tower. Sacristy stays the same. We got a cooperage, a filial church, coal harbor, a refectory, a forest hut, a castle, a grand manor, a shipyard, a portico, the chapel. Oh, it is different. So we got a chapel, a locutory, quarry stays the same, a whiskey distillery, An ale house. Looks like a slaughterhouse stays the same. Cloister workshop. Stayed the same. Scriptorium. Chapter house stayed the same. Druid's house. Sacred site. Builder's market, which I think is the same. Yep. Stone merchant. Houseboat. Cottage. Spinning mill. False lighthouse. A peat coal kiln stayed the same. Fuel merchant. Brewery. Malt house. Granary. The courtyard stayed the same. And the priory stayed the same. All right, so those are the cards in here. Those are going to be the buildings that you can build throughout the course of the game. And that's kind of it. There's nothing else in here. So this is Ora Et Labora. Like I said, it was a game that came out years ago, not lying, under Z-Man Games title. And when Z-Man got purchased, this game kind of disappeared. And I know that it went out of print, and it became very difficult to find for a decent price, at least close to MSRP. And so when I saw this printed by Lookout Games, I jumped on it immediately because it was the first time I'd seen it in a very long time. So there you go, Ora Et Labora by Uwe Rosenberg. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below, but let's keep it positive. I'll be removing any negative comments. And that's it, guys. Until next time. Peace.